broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yes, that was great.
So good.
Oh my gosh, a little Shania to start us out.
I love Shania.
That's great.
Country.
Welcome to the Forever AfterBuzz After Show. I'm Marielou Mendl, and with me is the lovely Pegah.
Hi, everyone.
We're here to recap and talk about tonight's episode, Man in a Killer Suit.
So good. I'm so glad it's back. I
Yes.
had withdrawals last week when I was gone.
Yeah, and I missed you guys. I've been gone for a few weeks, and then we didn't have an episode last week. I was
Yeah.
like, when can I have my Forever back?
I know.
But
I think next week we'll all be back finally.
Yes.
All the girls. So we miss you girls.
It'll be great.
Kate and Kanika.
yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
what an
So,
episode.
Man in the Killer Suit. I love a man in a killer suit.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't love a man in a killer suit?
Yeah, it's
I
great.
prefer Henry Morgan in a killer suit. Though.
Which he's always dressed really sharp, and we
He
get
is.
little hints of it all the time that he's very much into his fashion.
Yeah,
And I can appreciate that in a guy. Well, we start our episode at a high society engagement party, and we meet Viscount Colin Cavendish.
That's the first time I've ever heard Viscount before.
Viscount.
Have you
I've heard it before.
heard like
Duke.
Duke and all that?
Yeah.
Knight.
I've heard Viscount before.
Okay.
I don't think I ever knew what it meant.
I learned something today.
Yeah, but he was very clear that he was a Viscount.
Yeah.
Engagement party to Emily Sontag, and there's lots of things going on here. It's definitely a very expensive party.
Oh yeah, you can just tell.
And you can tell. And so he's a very charming British man, like our Henry Morgan.
Right.
And Emily is a rich American girl, and her dad comes out, and you can tell that they're an exciting young couple.
Right,
It's
but
ready to get married.
Right away, you could tell the dad is one of those like protective,
Mm-hmm.
rich fathers who just only want the best for their daughter.
Only. But
Yeah.
what parent doesn't want that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like the best of the best.
Yeah.
Caviar for breakfast. Like,
Honey, do you want that?
Yeah.
Please eat all your caviar. You don't want that? Okay. It's fine. So we see all of that, and then smash cut to our guy is dead in the park. And that's
that was
Colin,
so-
just dead in the park. It was very abrupt.
that was a very
More abrupt
sudden
than
death.
typical.
Yeah, I've never seen it cut to a death that quickly before, and so gruesome looking. Like the way he was leaning on the fountain, I was
Yeah.
like, ugh.
And I'm okay with them getting more gruesome. Like,
Yeah.
I find that stuff kind of fun.
Right.
You know, to
It
add
is.
into the show because it's so lighthearted and like a little heady with the problem solving. That I'm like, give me some gore.
You like the gore?
Yeah, give me a little bit of
Yeah.
gore. It shakes it up a little bit.
I get enough gore in the medical examining room when they're like picking apart body parts and sawing chests open. Like,
Yeah.
that's enough for me.
Ah, it's exciting. It's exciting because I feel like they put a lot of work into making it right.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The research on this show, and I think every single time I watch it, is so on point.
Yeah.
You know, with the medical terminology and the way that he deducts things from like the angle of the, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
it takes some strong researchers over there. That,
There was some thought put into
Yeah,
these
know what they're talking
things, which is why they call on Dr. Henry Morgan.
Yes.
So the Jo Martinez and Detective Hanson are in the park, and they're like, there's a dead royal in the park.
Yeah.
It's one of him. It's one of his people.
And and I love how Henry goes, does nobody know the difference between a royal and a noble? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
they're two
Oh,
totally different
no.
things. So
In New
funny.
York, it's the same. That's I believe Joe said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Henry's having breakfast with Abe, who's reading the obituaries, and then he gets called away. But while he's reading these obituaries, it's like, okay, I understand he's reading them because he has his antique business. He's trying to get all the stuff to resupply his store.
Right.
But this one, he has a different motive. When he finds
Lyle
Ames, and he's like, oh, it's a friend. It's a friend of mine. I've got to go to
60
this.
years ago or something.
60 years ago, and he
Gosh.
still wants to go. Abe's up to something.
Right. So we don't know
Obviously.
then that it's about a girl.
Yes. But I mean, when is it not about a
Yeah.
girl
And-
with Abe?
Hello, we find this episode that he has a type. He's into redheads. Jane Seymour, redhead. Fawn, redhead.
She's a tomato. He likes
Yeah.
tomatoes.
He's
I guess
got-
if that's a reference to redheads.
To him, I guess it was.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense. But that aside, the phone call comes in and Abe gives Henry permission to go catch bad guys. And then I've noticed the show doing this a lot more, these little winks to the camera. Not like a literal wink, but there's definitely a close-up of Dr. Morgan who's like, okay.
Yeah,
Let's go catch the bad guy.
And then cue the commercial.
Yes. Oh, it's fabulous. It's
Yeah.
fabulous. So he goes to the crime scene and then,
He finds out that the hair is dyed.
yeah. Well, they're in Central Park. So
Oh, okay.
Colin was murdered in Central Park
At
in
the
front of a fountain, which was, we find out later, is a
Something with
specific,
B.
it's a specific fountain, Bethesda.
There we
Bethesda
go.
fountain,
Where he proposed to Emily.
Yeah.
That comes later.
which
okay.
we find out later.
Yeah.
But while we're there, of course, Henry's getting all of the information. They say who he is. It's Colin Cavendish, and then we find out, of course, Henry knows. There's no more Cavendish family left.
Yeah, and only he would know that, wouldn't he?
Of course, because he was probably there.
But then also, okay, and this is where Hanson runs in and goes, I just called the British Embassy, and there are no more Cavendishes
Cavendish.
left. And he's like, but Henry already said it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it's like,
seconds
yeah.
later. Seconds later. And I do enjoy how the show has kind of become self-aware.
Right.
Like, it knows that we like these little jokes, so they definitely pop in there.
Yes, the writers are doing a great job
Yeah,
with that.
it's
I
really,
love-
really fun.
I love just the humor of Hanson, always kind of being second to Morgan and,
Yeah.
being close but yet so far away. With, like,
but it's going to make him better. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
need somebody to make you better.
I want one day, though, for Hanson to really say something and make a point that Henry has no idea about.
Yeah.
Like, just go in with a shocker.
And be like, oh,
He deserves that.
you got it.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe that can be the singing episode.
There.
We're going to
Get-
make this happen.
Get Hanson to sing.
Get it to sing. So, yes, we find out that Colin is indeed an imposter and that all secrets are revealed in death when we
Right.
go into the examination room. And that's where we find out that
The hair is dyed. Dun, dun, dun.
he's actually a blonde, he's not a brunette, and also that he is an American and not British.
Okay. They found that looking at the palate of his mouth. I mean,
It could be a thing.
now do you think Lucas found that out? Because he was the one that.
He was real proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Lucas.
Okay, I'll give it to because I'm like only Henry could see something like that, but Lucas is probably just as awesome.
Yeah, I bet
mean, he
he's
is.
researching more.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to get on this. This
But yeah,
guy is awesome.
So the palate was deteriorated or pushed a certain way.
Yes, there's a way that Americans talk that's a little bit harsher version of English, and that's why the palate was worn out in a different place.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why
wow.
he's not British.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm on
And it
board.
blew me away. Yeah.
I buy it. I buy it. But when we find out about these things, that's where we get a flashback. We get a flashback with Abigail because the hair
1957.
color change reminds Henry of a time he was putting gray on his hair to try and disguise his identity.
Right.
So,
So,
we
yeah.
always with Dr. Morgan have this theme of being somebody else.
Right.
Like he's pretending to be someone else. So we have this imposter, and it's a really big highlight. And I think everybody's kind of pretending in the show.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's really highlighted in the episode of like Abe is pretending when he's going to this funeral for his friend, but he's really not trying to go to the funeral for that. Like
he learned
everybody's
from Daddy, right?
Of
He learned
course.
from his.
Learn from the
parent,
best.
yeah.
Why not? But we see that, and it's like so good to see Abigail.
Yeah, I know. She hasn't been around in a few episodes. I really missed her. Is that where we see though No, they're not in the park yet. Sorry. So that was the second flashback. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Going ahead.
yeah, so we see the flashback. We just see that he's trying to disguise himself, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine." But okay.
Yeah, she's like, I love older men.
Yeah, because he's real old.
Real old.
Real old. So while we're looking at Colin on the table, we also go to take a look at his suit.
Yes.
And of course.
And the stitching.
The stitching. Of course, Henry knows, like, this kind of suit can only come from one kind of tailor, a very specific tailor, my tailor.
Yeah, my
of course.
tailor.
And it's Paul Stewart. He's like, this is from the fall collection of the Paul Stewart suit collection.
Was that Paul Stewart?
Yeah.
His tailor? Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought his name was Arturo.
Well, the guy was Arturo. The place.
The place. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
The place
I
is
missed
Paul
that part.
Stewart.
Okay.
So, you know,
So they
I
go-
really like that Henry's so into fashion because he had the reference about shoes.
I love
like,
it. He's such a little fashionista.
I love it. He's got his accessories.
Scarves.
I mean, not every guy like has his
so
thing.
handsome. And that accent. Put it all together. First, a guy in a suit alone, but then you tag on that accent. It's like, whew.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Keep going. Sure. You cracked the case, Henry. You cracked the
little
case.
crushes here. Little crushes.
But so then Henry takes
Joe
Joe there.
to Arturo in the mall.
Oh my
or
gosh.
The store.
At the store. Yeah. It's like a department store.
Yeah.
And Arturo takes a jab at Joe.
Oh, yeah. I don't like working with women, even in pantsuits.
I think
was
he's like, I
"Ooh."
don't work with the women.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
Even if she wears the pantsuits, which
Yeah.
is, I like Joe's pantsuits.
I do too. She looks so good.
Yeah. I think
So
she
good.
looks great. And she's, I don't know, she handles it real quick, as always.
Yeah.
So we go to talk to Arturo, the tailor that's there. But Joe does make a really good observation there. She's like, how do you, as a like medical examiner, afford to shop at this store? Like really, really high-end suits.
That's true. All
Yeah.
of these things are going to like build up one day and she's just going to get it. I
Yeah.
just know she is.
Well, she's a good detective. She's
She
collecting
is,
all of this information.
right.
How do you think she's going to find out?
He's going to slip one day.
Yeah.
Well, the next episode, okay, we're getting into
Yeah?
predictions.
Okay. All
But
right.
the next episode looks crazy.
Yeah. Do you have like a fantasy scenario of how she finds out?
I have a few. But
Oh,
yeah.
a few?
But yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, okay. All right. So while we're there, we find out that Colin was going there to get a tuxedo.
Paying cash.
Paying
So,
cash.
shady.
Always picked it up on himself. Himself. He picked it up himself. Always paid cash, and then he had to pick up a tuxedo. So they had a bridal registry.
Yes,
That's how we get to the bridal
upstairs.
registry in that building upstairs. So they go to talk to Patricia.
Patricia,
Mm-hmm.
aka Lydia from Breaking Bad.
Ah!
Love her. Gotta look up her name. Laura.
No, it was exciting
Gotta
to see
look
her
it
though. It was exciting to see her though. But so we get up there and they do, they're like, oh, are you familiar with this client? She says, yes, of course. Well, he's dead. And she freaks out a little bit, but it's so early in the episode.
Which she had a British accent,
Mm-hmm.
and so right away there, I was like,
Yeah.
like there's something.
Yeah.
I didn't really think she was a killer, but there's a stronger tie, and she was really devastated about him being dead.
Yes.
So I was like, either they had an affair, something more was
Yes.
there.
And it's always like you had mentioned that there's always something that has to do with the person we see for 60 seconds or less.
Well, that's Kate's thing. Yeah.
Oh, is it Kate?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
like,
spot
here, we're in
on.
there for that guy.
It's always the person that just comes real quick, has like a 60-second part, and then goes. And that
Yeah,
ends up
that
being-
sets off alarms. Whoa, can't let that person go by.
Yeah.
So while we're up there, of course, Henry's watching, seeing everything that's
Yeah.
going on.
Looking
And he
around.
starts chasing down a bike messenger
Right.
because of
He has-
a scar on his leg.
Yeah. Chain scars.
Yes. So he
It's like, how do you even see that? I mean,
Yeah.
Henry sees that.
He sees
Yeah,
everything.
he sees everything.
Yeah, so he chases him down, and I love that this guy's reaction because Henry follows him all the way out to his bike out on the street, and he says, he's like, dude, like even for New Yorkers, you're a mess.
Yeah, he's like kneeling down and like looking at him. It was so funny.
Can I look at your leg? And she's
Yeah.
like, no, man,
Yeah.
no.
He's like, do we have a problem?
Yes. So from that, he sees that this bike messenger has a specific type of scar that he had noticed on the body. And then from there shows
Yeah.
this bike
Who's
messenger.
this guy?
Do you know this guy? He's like, I think he's a bike messenger because that guy's a bike messenger. I guess so. All right.
Yeah.
And of all of the hundreds and hundreds of bike messengers in New York, there was one that
Knew him.
knew him
First name, last name.
and owed him money.
Dwight Dizyak.
Yep. Dwight Dizyak.
Yeah. Yeah, and he
With
owes him
blonde
money.
hair.
If you find him, let me know.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to find him. He's dead.
No, it's gone. That money's
He's
gone.
done.
Never let another bike messenger borrow your money. That's the lesson there. That's the lesson of this episode. So that's a big information for us there.
Yeah,
So
huge.
he's a bike messenger. So we know he's an imposter. He's a low end guy, like probably not making a lot of money, not a rich guy.
Right.
So
we know that there's a motive somewhere. Money.
trying to make a better life for himself.
Yeah.
Is money.
Exactly.
Always money. So
It's always money, isn't it? It's always money.
Yeah.
Money or love
yeah.
or drugs
Or what else?
or chocolate.
Or chocolate.
For me, it's chocolate. I will kill for
Oh my
chocolate.
gosh, there's a motive for chocolate. Jeez. My chocolate's gone. It's Pegah.
Yeah.
Pegah took my
I
chocolate.
did it.
And then, like you said, motives for love. So Abe's motive, we start to see a little bit more of what's going on here because we see Abe getting ready and he's like dressed to the nines in a really like dashing suit. Henry comes in, he's like, great, you look awesome. Where are you going? Oh, a funeral.
And he's like, what?
Yes.
And he's like, I'm nervous. Come, I want a wingman, please.
Yeah, it's because he's going to the funeral. He admits to Henry that he's going to the funeral to see a woman named Fawn. That was his first love, and he hasn't seen in 60 years.
First kiss, too, right? I think, yeah, or at least her first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 60 years, he's going to go and try to rekindle things with Fawn.
Yes.
And
And
Henry
that's-
wants nothing to do with it. He's like, I don't want to come.
Like, you don't pick up women at a funeral.
Like, come on, son. I taught you better than that.
Yeah, obviously not. I don't know. What he did teach Abe was to love,
Right.
right?
Yeah, he did.
And they love.
They do.
They both love to
They
love.
really love to love. Love to love. Is that a song? Okay.
It could be. It probably is.
So we find out the lieutenant, he thinks that Emily helped him create the fake ID so that her dad would accept him.
Yeah, which could potentially be a thing if she
That's-
fell in love with a lower end guy to try and
Yeah.
clean him up. Okay.
Totally.
Could be a thing. Then they bring her into the interrogation room and she's like, I didn't know.
Yeah, she's like, they mentioned Dwight Disiak. And he's like, oh, is that the name of the killer? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't know anything.
I didn't buy all of that at the time. It turns out that that was the case, but the way it was delivered, I was like, she's a liar.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
for
she's a
sure.
liar.
They always lie.
Yeah.
Or do they? Yeah.
Yeah. But ended up, she really didn't know, and Joe had to break it to her. You know, I know you're bummed because your fiance's dead, but he wasn't actually who he said he was.
That must be so sad. Think about that. Like, you fall in love with a guy. You think you know his whole life story, who he is. You're about to marry the guy. He's coming into your family, and the whole thing is a sham. I mean, how heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well,
I
and
would
that's what she was. It's her prince,
Yeah.
and it was not.
Oh my gosh, how sad. Because she's like, the most hurtful thing was that the whole, like, our whole love was a lie. And I was like, oh my God, that is so sad.
That would be devastating for anyone of any
Yeah.
level.
I mean, everybody's dated people who's like, oh yeah, I do this, and they really don't do what they say, or the, like, little things that people
Yeah.
lie about, but like to put on such a fake identity, a fake name, and you're
Yeah. To go through everything up until you're getting married, and then realize that was all not real.
I feel for Emily. I
That
really-
and that
I
it was
really do.
done on purpose to try and dupe you. That it was a con
That's
artist.
so sad.
It's got to be a hard life to be a con artist, though, because like you can't fall in love.
Right.
If you do fall in love, you mess up your con.
Which is what happened.
Wah, wah. Okay, so we tell Emily that he's an imposter, and then Lucas gives us a story about when he was an imposter. He had went to a different school for a year and made everyone call him Fernando
Right.
because he wanted to. And then he had to give it up because he couldn't speak Spanish and he got tired of looking over his shoulder. Have you ever pretended to be somebody else?
No, I am an open book. Like,
Yeah.
if I am lying, if I'm uncomfortable, like my face, you could just see it. I just like, you could just tell. I'm not good at pretending or lying or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to move a lot. There were some schools I went to for like a month. I went to 11 different elementary schools. And at some point, I don't remember when it was, but I just pretended like I couldn't talk. Like, I'm pretty outgoing.
Wow.
But at some point, I was like, I'm only going to be here for a month, so I just was a silent kid.
my
I mean, I
gosh.
spoke to my teachers. I
Yeah.
spoke if needed,
Right.
but I just wasn't a talkative kid, which I don't know if that's really an imposter situation. I think it was more me testing the waters.
Yeah. I see that as a kid.
Yeah.
How you could do that.
Like, let's see if anybody notices if I don't talk to them. And
Yeah.
I guess if you're like that weird kid that just like sits there and doesn't talk. But now I talk all the time.
There we go.
Here we are. But that story about Fernando Lucas brings us to a flashback.
Right, but what he says was, funny thing pretending to be someone you're not. And then Morgan just does that, like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It's very pointed, like, hey,
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
Maybe. Give me something. But what like Lucas says, I got tired of looking over my shoulder, and that sends us to this flashback of Abigail and Henry in the park, and literally somebody over his shoulder stops him.
Recognizes him. And did he get shot? I didn't catch that
Yes,
part.
both of them were in
One in
war
the
together.
leg.
And the guy who stopped Henry got shot in the leg.
Right.
And he said, I definitely saw you get hit by the same shell.
Bullet, yeah.
And you look the same. But
he's
this
like-
guy was like old and like crippled and
Oh my
a mess.
gosh.
So
He's like, no, sir, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, he actually changed his accent.
And like runs away.
yeah. He's like, nope, not me, not it.
See
yeah.
ya.
I don't know. What would you do?
Bye, Felicia.
Later.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he's going to come across people that are going to maybe call him out. And I'm curious to see how he reacts to that. Is he just going to run away all the time?
Yeah. Well, I feel like typically that's what they had always done. They had always run away.
Moved. Yeah.
And then, but they've lived in New York so many times, so they just moved to a different part of the city.
I guess. I would
Yeah.
just stay in the Hamptons or something,
Yeah.
really.
There's places you could
Imagine.
live, right? There's places
Yeah.
you could go. They could just be on a farm. But where would he buy all of his suits? You know?
The questions we have.
We have so many questions. I just worry about the wardrobe. How do we like upkeep the wardrobe if we move Henry out to like a
He
secluded
gets
place?
it like shipped to him.
Online shopping.
Yes.
Like I told you.
Yes.
Like I told you, online shopping is going to destroy brick and mortar stores.
Right.
It's over. Sorry,
So-
guys. Sorry. That's news.
We go back to Lucas in the examining room, and he feels a crinkle, finds a check.
In the suit. It's ripped up, though.
It's ripped up.
Yes, he found some ripped up pieces of paper, tapes it together, and it is a check for $1 million.
$1 million.
From Emily's daddy.
Yeah. Norman's
Sontag.
contact to the DOA, which
Yes.
is, yeah,
Gone.
gone.
He's dead.
But
but
$1 million.
yes, so
I mean,
like, is there
that's-
kind of a motive now?
right?
Trying to get the money and run. But the paper was torn up.
So it's like
So you can't
he's-
cash a check like that.
right? And if he tore it up, then we know that he wasn't in it for the money. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
that was the first point where I was like, maybe Dwight is a good guy.
Yeah. And then and Emily
wasn't-
does confirm that check is money for their wedding.
Right.
It's not just like he didn't just go in and like steal a check for $1 million
Yeah.
and then rip it up or feel remorseful. Her dad gave it to him
Gave it to
for the wedding. So Joe and Henry then go and visit the Sontag house, which is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So gorgeous. And then even Joe's like, oh, did you stay in a house like this? You bet you grew up in a house like this. And he's like, why do you assume I always, we all lived in houses like this? But
Yeah, and
he
he's
probably
like-
did.
She's like, pretty soon you're going to tell me where you grew up in your childhood. And he's like, I don't like talking about that stuff. I'm trying to reinvent myself. Like dodging the question, dodging the topic.
Yeah.
Like he normally does.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe says she's like herself, good or for bad, she knows who she is.
Right.
Which I think is an awesome way to be.
She's awesome.
She's awesome. I love her. I love her so much. Please call and talk to us.
So they go in and actually talk to Norman.
Yep. They talk to him, and Henry creepily is standing over the golf clubs, like sniffing them, and then goes on with the conversation. So I was like, oh, that's something. There's something going on over there.
Yeah, he's on to something.
Yeah.
And then he just starts going off step by step of what happened in that office, which is, it's kind of a ballsy move. I mean, he's practically accusing Norman at this point.
Yeah.
You pushed him against the wall because his wool is attached to it. Then you got these golf No, and then he
It was
pushed
a
back
wall
and then-
that had studs in it.
Right.
It had like, it looked like it had like studs
little-
you would have on a jacket.
Yeah.
On the wall. Just a side note.
Right.
That's interesting. Rich people are interesting.
Yeah, studded walls. And then he got pushed back on the desk, and so the desk was moved. And then, what does he say about the golf clubs? Like, you clearly clean these for prints, but next time use
Salt
water so it doesn't smell so much.
Yeah, they like gave him a tip.
I was like, Henry.
Henry's crime scene tip of the day.
Love
Use
it.
salt water.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we've tried that. So, yes, he sees the fibers in the wall. He sees that the desk has been moved from the tussle. And then he knows that the golf clubs have been cleaned.
And then he's like, where were you or something? And he's like, before I can answer this, I need my lawyer.
Dun, dun,
Already
dun.
looks really guilty and suspicious
Shady. Then we meet Peter Gussick, the lawyer.
of a lawyer.
The lawyer. So they're in the interrogation room with Daddy Sontag and Peter, the lawyer. And we find out that the dad had called the lawyer after that tussle, called the lawyer
Yes.
and told him what happened.
Yes.
And the reason that that tussle happened was because we find out that Dwight came and admitted everything and was going to try and run away with Emily because he really loved her.
Right.
So
He was trying to do the good
yeah,
thing.
but that's
know?
got to be frustrating because
As a protective father like
Yeah.
Norman, it's like, what
yeah,
did you do to my daughter? I don't
Yes.
care if you're in love, you're a peasant.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
yeah. Well, I would just be mad that somebody lied to my child, like. Not even my child, like my sisters. Like I have 2 younger sisters, and I've definitely said, I was like, you do her wrong, I will happily go to jail. That's just how it's gonna
Wow.
be.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I
mess
stand
with
by
you.
that. No, don't mess with my little sisters. It's my family. So yeah, I can see where he's coming with that, but he admits to assault,
Yes.
but not to murder.
Right.
Yes. So they're like, oh, that's kind of iffy. Like, how is that possible? So they go back and they check the body. And we found out that the dad had hit Colin Dwight in the head with a golf club.
Right. It was bleeding,
was
but it was
bleeding.
cared for.
Yes. So because we see the inflammation, then Henry like confirms it was a
Yeah.
few hours earlier that this happened. Then, of course, the smallest piece of evidence in the world was a piece of gauze, which for me, I'm a little skeptical of because they're in a medical facility. A piece of gauze could have gotten there.
Exactly. It could have been from that room.
Yeah, very possibly could have been from there. But maybe, okay.
I mean, they knew what they were using, probably.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, well, what? Yeah, I
You
don't
know what I'm
know.
saying?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I know what you're
Right.
saying.
But it was there, but it was kind of lodged in the blood. So
Yeah.
it could have been sitting there the whole time. So it's a good thing that they did go back in and take a closer look at that. So now we know that that injury had been cared for and that he had learned all of his things so fast. He learned how to be this gentleman so fast. Like those realizations came together. And then again, the show being self-aware, Luke is like, here
And
comes the
cue
aha moment. Ah, and it's
He was
they're like it's
learning
an
from
Eliza
someone.
Doolittle situation. It's a
Yes.
My Fair Lady situation
Yes.
that somebody maybe trained him to be this high society character.
Right.
Oh, but now we have an extra person in the scenario. Who is it? Who's doing this? And then we also realized that everything that he wore was from that Paul Stewart
Stewart.
catalog. And then in the back of the catalog, there's a pen that looks like the shape of the injury in
Wound.
his neck, along with some gold shards that they pulled out. So they're like, that's got to be it.
Right.
It's got to be it. And it ends up it is, but
And
it's got to be
they
it.
found out that Dwight bought all these clothes and stuff from
Mm-hmm.
Paul Stewart with an employee discount.
And not just any employee discount, it's Patricia, the lady from the bridal registry.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So why? Now, why would this woman
The plot thickens.
who is helping them with the registry, this really, really rich guy giving him an employee discount? There's something going on. Of course there's something going on. There's
Yeah.
always something going on. So they get a warrant, they break into her place, and they find the gauze with blood on it in her trash can.
Yeah,
and
they
the-
match the DNA.
in a corner of the check that was in ripped up in his pocket.
That's
so
like red-handed right there.
it's right there.
What else do you need?
It's
The
right
dead
there.
body.
And then they go to her bookshelf, and on her bookshelf are all these books on how to be a gentleman, high society living. Obviously, Patricia had trained.
Not looking good for you, Patricia.
And there's pictures of them. There's like couple pictures of them,
Right.
like kissy selfie pictures.
Yeah.
Love, 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 love. So trouble.
Then we get another flashback.
Yes.
And this one, the little child Abe is so cute.
Oh, baby
Such a good
Abe.
little actor. They're sitting there talking in their little fort that children make in their rooms.
Yeah, I still make forts. You don't still make forts? Marissa, you still make forts, don't you?
I have tents. Make little tents.
In college, yeah.
In
Yeah?
college, yeah, to study for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, long nights of study, but then I ended up passing out, and it's like. So we see him talking about a girl, Fawn,
Fun.
which Abe kissed before Lyle.
Yes.
So we kind of missed that whole part of where Lyle swooped in and stole his
Yes.
woman.
Yes. So,
About Lyle.
because Fawn later tells us that she's been married to Lyle for like 50 years.
Yeah.
So they didn't get married when they were 8 years old.
Right.
So there's the whole like between 8 and like 20 probably.
He dropped the ball some
yeah.
point in
well,
that-
Lyle probably came and swooped in.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole side story.
I
Where's
know.
our bonus content?
I feel like, okay, into predictions again. I'm going to write this down, but yeah. Okay. go
All
ahead.
right, you've got something going on
I
there.
got some stuff.
Yeah, so we find out that in this flashback they're having to rush and leave. And Abigail is packing things.
Yes.
And she's packing the pictures because pictures cannot be replaced. And that's how we know, that's how Henry tells everyone, like, no, she didn't flee because they haven't found her. She's missing
Right.
currently. But because she left that photo in her apartment, she didn't flee the scene.
Yeah,
she's
she's
still
not gonna
in
leave.
town because she didn't take the photo.
Yeah.
Because photos can't be replaced.
Unless you have them on your iPhone, and then
Yeah.
it's like, bye.
Goodbye. You're backed up on the cloud.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a little sad story about pictures, actually?
Sure.
When I was younger, I was an evacuee in the Philippines during a volcano eruption, Mount Pinatubo. And I remember specifically being in line, and they were telling us, like, your family can only have one bag. You can only have so much stuff, right? We're, like, gone. Like, you're never coming back.
Right. Oh my
Evacuating the
gosh.
country. And I remember this image is burned so strongly in my head, trash cans full of photo albums. And it was just so, I remember being like, this is so sad because at that time you don't have like a little SD card that could hold,
Right. Everything was
thousands of
albums.
photos. It's
Yeah.
just real printed things. And, that made me think of that in the episode today. And
I
was
feel like I would sacrifice my entire luggage of clothes
Yeah.
for albums.
And I think people did. They,
Yeah.
because at that point everyone had already left their homes. So they had taken them to this point.
Wow.
And we're about to get on a
Wow,
ship.
wow.
It was intense.
Oof, I can't
And I was
imagine.
8. And I was 8 and I was like, this is like really weird. I don't understand what's going on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it
We
was
need to
pretty
talk
intense.
about this.
Yeah.
I want to learn some more about
But
you.
yeah, so seeing that situation
Yeah.
in the show today, it really reminded me of that, So cherish your pictures, back up your hard drives,
Seriously.
back up your data so you can keep your pictures forever.
Yeah.
But now they're on Facebook. That's there forever.
And the cloud.
The
that never
cloud.
leaves you.
Never. Now we can't get rid of pictures we
Yeah.
don't want.
Yeah.
We used to be able to just like put them through the shredder. Oh, shameful world we live in. But
So-
so in this flashback though, again with the Abe and Kyle, he says it's his first kiss and he says, "What a tomato,"
Yeah.
which I think is now my new favorite phrase.
What a tomato.
What a tomato she is, right?
Then
So
they go to
from
the
that
funeral.
flashback, then Henry feels like, okay, I'll go with him.
Yeah,
I'll go
he
with him
feels-
because he feels that that Abe wants to go see Lyle because it's Lyle's funeral. He's like, oh, they were buddies. I made you leave him.
Yeah.
I'll go with you to the funeral.
It's not
Yeah,
about
but he
Lyle.
did. He's like, first kisses were important. He knew that Fawn was going to be there also, so he made that connection. He's like, great, let's go. I'll be your
Yeah.
wingman
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
funeral.
And then he goes, before he can even go say hi to Fawn, we see Emily and Patrick, the lawyer.
But that's where you notice. You're like, he loves redheads.
Yeah.
Yes, he loves redheads.
For sure.
He likes tomatoes.
He likes tomatoes.
Yes. So yeah, we see Emily and the lawyer.
Yes. And
Leaving
at
the
that
cemetery.
point, because, you see the previews from before where Abe's like, I have permission to break all driving rules or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to chase Emily and Patrick. But then we turn and we see Patricia waiting, you know, in the corner, kind of shady.
Doing there? Well, because she's, you know, somebody broke into her house. She's probably
Right. I thought she was going to go after Emily because Colin fell in love with her. So
Yeah.
I thought that was her next victim.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, like crime of passion because she loved him and now she's like a, you know, smited woman.
Yeah.
So, well,
I know.
could have killed her. Girl and girl hate.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Oh,
And
no.
my favorite part was so he calls Joe. Henry calls Joe and says, "I have Patricia. I'm going to chase her." She's like, "No, Henry,
Don't
stand
do
down.
it."
Don't chase because it could be dangerous, you know." And he's like, "She got into some sort of Datsun," and Abe's like, "They stopped making Datsuns.
That's
It's
not
a
a
Civic."
car. Yes. Yeah, but before they
cracking
leave,
up.
so Henry's like, just give me the keys, I'll drive. And he's like, no, you haven't driven in
37 years or
30-something
something,
years.
yeah.
But before they go, Abe, of course, being the man that he is, he's looking for love. He's like, hey, kid, is that your grandma? Give her my card and tell her she looks good.
Yeah,
It's great. Like, he's
I
he
love-
went there with a mission.
I love that he did that though. He didn't just leave and not get anything done.
Yeah.
He like went in for it.
Yes.
Very strong.
Yeah, that would make an impression to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
like,
did
oh.
because she came to the store
She
later.
did.
She was like,
she
"Hey, Mom."
did. So Abe gets into the driver's seat, or they're about to go. Henry's on the phone with Joe, and Abe yells out, "Do I have permission to violate safety laws?" Right. So
Yes.
yeah, again, I was like, "Great, we're gonna have a chase."
Yeah.
But then we cut to the next scene, and they just have her
Right.
in custody.
And the lieutenant at this point was like, Henry, what were you doing at that cemetery? Like,
Yes.
what were you doing there? And he's like, I was being a wingman. She's like, I'm just not going to ask questions anymore. I don't even know why.
I went with my roommate to a funeral to be his wingman. And she's like, I just need to not ask you
Yeah.
anymore, which really made me think how much I love everyone's interactions with Henry specifically. Like, all of the characters, all of the actors are doing a really good job in having a specific relationship.
Totally.
Yeah, it's great. Like, all of them are very
That's
distinct.
a great point. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
it's
see
great.
that.
So they're interrogating Patricia now, and they tell her about how
Steph Fountain.
he was killed in Central Park, and she's like, where in Central Park? At this specific fountain. Well, this fountain is special because that is where Dwight, or Colin, proposed.
And it was her idea.
And it was her idea. So it
She's
gets
so romantical.
yeah, because it was a big con.
Yeah.
She gave Emily
Romantical.
everything that she would have wanted.
Right.
You know, and she even says that. She's like, she had what I wanted. Like and you could imagine being Patricia in love with this guy. I mean, granted, you're a con artist and they're coming into your store for bridal registry, but they were making plans and they were falling in love and you had to see this.
That's tough.
It's tough
It's
all
tough,
around.
But it's, if you're doing it for the money and it's kind of the sacrifice you have to
Yeah.
make.
This love triangle stuff, not for me.
I couldn't do it. I could
Not
do it.
for me. So they go to the fountain. Henry and Lucas do a little reenactment of what he thinks happened. He thinks that Colin came to apologize, was down on his knee, that Emily was frustrated, like in a fit of rage,
Yeah.
grabs the pen and stabs him in the neck. But
I'm laughing because Lucas was like, "Can I be the killer this time?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
No.
I get better into character when I'm the killer. Like,
Yeah.
let me do the killing."
I thought about that too, but it's like if he was the victim, he wouldn't be able to like explain how the murder happened.
Right.
So you kind of have to be Lucas has to be the passive side of the interaction.
Yeah, unless Lucas gets that good,
Yeah.
where he can take the reins and
Lucas has to show up and be like, wait, I got it.
Yeah.
He grabs it, stabs him in the neck, done.
It's gonna.
Is that
come.
right? Is
It's
that
gonna
right?
come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. So then we realize, though, her alibi was confirmed.
Because Hanson comes running in and he's like, "Oh, but Henry already said that, didn't he?"
Moments later.
Yeah.
But then Henry says, she's not the killer, but we need to arrest her.
Yes.
And both of us had a moment of like, say what?
Yeah. Well, because I thought it was whoever did it. If they arrest her, they're going to kind of show themselves because they are going to either come to protect her or something. Like by getting Emily, you're going to get that person that's kind of lurking.
Yeah. So then the next thing we find that they're staking out in the park and we see a guy in a hoodie digging up in the dirt and digs up the pen. We see the pen.
Yeah.
And we find out that it's the lawyer.
Yes.
It's the lawyer and
Peter.
He was digging up the murder weapon. He loved Emily. That's what we found out, is that after the dad called the lawyer, he did whatever it is that he needed to cover up the scene, but then took matters into his own hand and went to go kill Colin before he got to Emily.
Okay, so Norman, the father, never told Peter to go do anything.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it was like, I love Emily and I'm going to go protect her. And
Yeah, I think Norman called Peter to say, hey, can you clean my office?
yeah,
Cover my tracks
this doesn't
here.
look good. Right.
But then after that, took matters into his own hand and stabbed him in the neck.
Little did Norman know what he was doing.
Yeah, little did he know. Well,
Did he do him a favor? I mean, I don't know.
And then so when they go to tell Emily, like, she's like, oh, I knew he kind of had feelings for me, but I didn't think it would be like
Right.
that.
You always know. A girl always knows.
Yeah, you can always tell.
Always tell.
But they do tell Emily he was coming to apologize to you. Colin Dwight was coming to say he wasn't going to take the money, that he actually loved you, and if you forgave him, you guys would run away together. And she found solace in that because she really did love him.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that she got that.
Yeah.
In the end, she got that. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think Emily's okay.
I think she's going to be
all
fine.
right.
She'll just go
Little
take
heartbreak.
a year in London and find yourself a real prince. There's plenty over there. I'm sure Viscounts everywhere.
Viscounts everywhere.
You just throw a pebble at a Viscount.
Yeah.
So then
We get to...
that's the case is
Yeah,
solved.
the case is done.
fantastic. But then I love our little buttons at the end. Always. We have a little Abe button always.
Yeah.
Abe's at his store and Fawn walks in.
She's like, you made a pretty aggressive move there, buddy.
Yeah.
And it turns out she was only 20 blocks away. So she's been down the street this whole time.
Yeah.
A lot down the street, but down the street.
Yeah.
So I feel like that excited him. And he asked her for coffee, and she politely said no, which I understand.
Yeah, she's like, listen, I buried my husband two days ago.
Like, take it easy.
Hold
it's
on,
just
player.
coffee. Like, relax,
It's never
buddy.
just coffee.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a milkshake.
Yes.
That was like strange though, because they were 8. She's like, oh yeah, last time it was just a milkshake, and what happened afterwards? Well, like, you had like a kiss.
Right.
You were 8. But she said that he was the only person that she had kissed outside of her husband, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
If they had that much of a connection, because Abe did say when he was little, Abe, I'm gonna marry that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
Her milkshake brought all the Abes to the yard.
It did.
Wow. I
just
just
the
went
one.
there.
You
I
did
went
it.
there.
You did it. And it's here forever.
It's a little.
A little dance and everything.
Yeah.
You guys.
And
then we
then oh my goodness. Okay, so Joe and Morgan are walking at the end of the episode, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna come clean with you, Joe. I'm actually Hank Morgan from Ohio or something."
Yes. He has his American accent. And she's like, you're a liar.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, whatever. Good night." Gets into the cab, and it's
And that's because Abe said he didn't want him riding on a bicycle. He
Yes.
was like, yeah, I want you to ride cabs around. And it's
Adam. I got goosebumps head to toe, and I just froze. Like, that was a great reveal. Great job.
And he says,
Totally wasn't
I
expecting
need you to
it.
buckle your seatbelt because I don't want you to get hurt. What's he going to do?
What's the worst that can happen? The guy's gonna die.
I know they're
He's
both going to die together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is still scary because he
Right.
might come after who knows who.
Oh my gosh.
You know? Because he could, knowing his condition, he might be able to, like, torture him forever. I don't know. Okay. But, yeah. So that was our episode. Before we get into anything else.
On my notes,
you
the
gotta-
very last thing was OMG.
It does. It says right there. It says, OMG. That's your last
Bullet
moment
point
there.
OMG.
Wow. All
Great
right.
way to end the episode.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So, ready for predictions now?
I am ready.
All right.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Well,
Pegah, let's hear it.
Well, we saw previews for the next episode. Adam is taking him hostage. I think Henry is going to be able to get out of whatever it is. This isn't going to... I don't think his secret's going to be revealed.
Yeah.
Not this. I mean, we still have many more episodes to go. I think it's too early. They kind of hinted at that, want us to think that, but I don't think that Henry's going to come clean with it yet. Fawn, definitely coming back.
Yeah.
Absolutely coming back. She lives 20 blocks away. He's really into her. She kind of feels it too. So I feel like she's coming back. But yeah, that's pretty much
Okay.
it.
The Many Women of Abe.
The Many Women of Abe.
But you think the one in the end is going to be fun?
I think so.
Yeah?
I mean, it's like his long-time love.
Yeah.
Tomato. Long-time tomato.
This is long-time tomato.
Yeah.
That's been stewing a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So I think that I agree. He's probably not going to have to reveal himself, but I do wish he would give Joe a little bit of info. I'm hoping for it.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if Jo can keep a secret.
Yeah.
Maybe she can.
I think she could. I really think she could, because I think that they're really developing a really good friendship
Yeah.
and that it's going to be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's our show, guys. Make sure you check us out on iTunes. Subscribe. You can find us also on YouTube, AfterBuzz.
Yes, please leave us comments. We read everything. We really, really appreciate your feedback.
And we love your song recommendations.
Yes,
They're fantastic.
Yeah, please send us more. We're running out.
Yes, and give us your predictions for what's going to happen with Henry and the crew. And you can find us here every week talking about Forever. You can find me on social media. I am Marielou Mendl, and you can find me Twitter, Instagram, MarieLoumandl.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Pegah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.